Welcome back, everybody, to the Ask Dr. John video series, which is really an opportunity to listen to a conversation about writing the book American Change Agent: A Life and Legacy of Seeking Diversity, Equality, and Inclusion by my father, Dr. John F. Leeke, and yours truly, Ananda Madeline Leeke. So, how are you, Dr. John, today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Had a good day so far, and looking forward to our next conversation here.
All right. And today's conversation, today's video, everybody, focuses on the question of what legacy are you creating with the book? Tossing it to you, Dr. John.
Uh, well, one of the things that I'll refer our viewers and future readers of the book uh, is near the end. Um, there is 10 lessons learned that I share. Um, and I think uh, the thought was that I have learned a lot. Um, and I wanted to share those learnings with the thought that younger people, particularly people who are just getting started in their careers. And not to say that folks who are knee deep in their careers can't also benefit from some of the lessons, but for some, they will recognize, oh, yeah, yep, I've learned that lesson already. But for some of our younger folks, and I do truly hope that uh, some of our young folks, and particularly in these current times, when for our nation, our democracy to survive, uh, they're going to need to uh, be ready and not necessarily have to, in in a sense, struggle through by making a lot of mistakes. They can benefit from uh, what I'm saying about what I learned. Uh, and like one of the things that I know I have benefited from and learned and I recommend is to be open to opportunities. I and you will notice in the reading of my book, especially in a few of the early chapters, how I think I really benefited from the numerous opportunities that came my way. Now, you can have opportunities a lot of times, and you may not uh, move on them. I'd like to credit myself to say that I wasn't afraid of taking chances. I took some chances that if they had not gone well, my life might have been very different. Um, I took chances when opportunities were presented from sources that I had no real knowledge of, but they opened doors for me. They opened doors, and so I just have to say that's a significant learning that I want to pass on. Um, Another one is spend time learning about who you are. Who am I? Okay, who am I in this world? Who am I in the context of what I'm doing? Um, and the more and in some ways, I regret that I did not take up a bit of one of the opportunities, and that opportunity was to have learned more about how to access my feelings. I had some colleagues who they did great work. People like Carol Brantley and Delight, and Tony spent lots of time um, doing self work, knowing who they were, and it was extremely beneficial. I could see the result. Uh, that's the if there's a regret that I have in my life, that's probably the one. So go deep, find out some of the things that are not on the surface that you have to go deeper to get a greater understanding of who you are. Um, I also think that um, paying attention to people who will be mentors to you, who will help to you to reach your goals, your and and they will come in all different size packages and so forth. But you'll recognize them, uh, and you will come to value the role that they play in your life and in what you are able to accomplish. And lastly, you have to become a mentor. You have to be willing to help others, to bring them along, to share your insights, your learnings. Uh, that's what I'm hoping I will be leaving and will be noted as my legacy to the world.
And for the book, and with the book, and with the book.
Yes.
Man, wow. Reviewing Revelations, y'all. All right. So I'm going to read the question again for myself. What legacy are you creating with the book? And when I thought about this question, this is something that I always say, having written 3 books, and I always encourage people to write a book, even if it's 20 pages, an ebook, write it down as a woman of African descent, a woman of indigenous ancestry, and so on and so on and so on. Being in the Americas, Turtle Island. I think it is, you can never write enough. And I'm paraphrasing what Toni Morrison has urged us to do and what Bell Hooks has urged us to do, is to tell our stories. And so with this book, we're creating the legacy of storytelling between a father and a daughter, storytelling between um, uh, a man and his community, his family, storytelling in general about an ancestral legacy that a lot of our family members in writing this book, and even before writing this book, I've shared. But I think when they see the photos and they see things um, laid out in that first couple of chapters. I'm hoping that that inspires them to tell their story in the way that works best for them, to inspire other people, extended family, friends, to tell their stories. Because for me, um, this book reminds me how important it is to call on and tap into our loving, wise, and well ancestors. And throughout this book process, writing the book, I did a lot of ancestral healing work, um, where I worked with an ancestral healing coach, Jamari Michael White. Shout out to Jamari, um, who worked with me for 2 years in healing the lineages, all of the lines that are connected to me. And so having intimate conversations with the ancestors, letting them come through my art, recognizing them when they show up, their wisdom, so that I'm able to stand grounded in knowing and believing and trusting, whether others in the family know it or not. I'm able to say that is a part of my legacy, and is a part of the book's legacy and people looking up their ancestry. Using AfricanAncestry.com, we want to highlight that. Um, that service is powerful. It's well worth it. Using Ancestry.com, because that's where we found the obituary of my great great grandfather, Leonard Leek. We would not have had, documentation, and having his birth certificate and his death certificate, and so many other ancestors, we were able to get. Shout out to my cousin Ellen Cook for all of her work. Um, in gathering that information and putting it on ancestry.com and sharing it at family gatherings and getting us all excited about it. Um, so yeah, there's a lot that happens when one writes a memoir, having written two, and on my third, and then having supported my dad and helping him to write his, the the things that come up in the writing process, your shit does get stirred up. And there's a legacy of healing for me that comes in writing, um, and in telling my story and helping others to tell their stories. So I'll put a pin in it there, and we will see you all next time. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank my dad, Dr. John, for being here. And you got anything you want to say to the folks before we tune out?
No, just that it's really been nice to do some reflecting. Um, I'm in the last couple of months, uh, in which that I have come to the actual end of writing the book and then passing it on to Yael and Gigi to clean it up and make sure everything was uh, correct. Grammar was correct. Uh, Spelling was corrected. Phrasing was corrected. Uh, Labeling of all of the photos. That truly painstaking work that was done. And going for me now, going back and reading the the final drafts, the final drafts, it has been very reflective, and it has made me feel proud. Uh, I've been able to recognize that this is a major accomplishment. So I'm just hoping you will enjoy the stories uh, of my life.
All right, everybody. You heard it from Dr. John himself. We are out of here, but before we go, I want to remind you that you can learn more about the book American Change Agent: A Life and Legacy of Seeking Diversity, Equality, and Inclusion by Dr. John F. Leeke and yours truly, Ananda Madeline Leeke, by going to anandaleek.com/Dr. John. That's anandaleek.com/Dr. John. On that website page, you're going to find a summary of the book and then copies of the front and back covers and our bios and information in the coming weeks and months about our book talks and book readings. And you'll see these videos, and we'll be doing more of these videos. Just in doing this series, I've come up with some additional questions. So look out for more from us. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. We're out of here. Bye.